Hello.
Hi.
This is Gainako Radio, and I'm Flexdan. And today we have a very well-known activist, Ndey Tapha. Ndey, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, doing very well.
Good. It's a pleasure to have you. Really, Gambian diaspora have not seen you for quite a while, and some have been speculating that, oh, she has dropped off the scene, or she's no longer involved in the struggle, as we've come to call it now.
Yes.
What's your view to that, or maybe you can elaborate also about what you've been busy with since.
Oh, well. The diaspora has a right, Gambians at home have a right to know what we are up to if we claim to be speaking on their behalf.
Yes.
It's personal. I needed to take a break because I had a baby.
Okay.
I'm a 1-year-old baby now.
That's good.
So we needed to bond.
We wish you all
I
the
also
best.
felt that at some point it becomes really personal. So you need to take a step back and focus on which strategies we're going to use to make this work. We have been active on the ground. We've been active since we left the Gambia.
Good.
And the situation seems to be getting worse.
Good.
So sometimes you really need to take a back seat and assess yourself, assess your involvement, think of whether the strategies we've been using so far have been working. If not, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
So yes, I've not been visible, but I've not been off the scene. I've been talking to colleagues who matter, colleagues who've been working, and I really appreciate their efforts and I commend them for being there. I'm not back on the scene 100%, but I could not be here.
Okay.
It's just next door to where I live, and Amadou has involved me in this process whilst they were planning, so I really could not be here. But I'm glad that I came.
Good.
I'm glad that I came. I think that to be able to bring together the political actors on the ground, civil society movement on the ground, Gambian Youth, the rappers, I think that the spirit of the meeting so far has been very respectful, but we have been able to convey a message. All of us have different approaches. I think the most important thing going forward from here would be everybody's doing something. There are people in the UK right now who are doing something. There are people in the US who are doing something. There are other actors here in Dakar who are doing something. It's obvious that we cannot bring everybody into the same room at the same time.
Of course.
But going forward from here, I think that it would make sense to reach out. I believe in that, to reach out and synergize this energy with what is actually going on the ground in the Gambia. We condemn it. We condemn what is happening. And we think that if this is not a catalyst for change, then change will never come.
Indeed. Okay, many have been speculating that, you had a fallout with Scattred Janneh and that you guys are not in good relationship. But today we're seeing you and you've been chairing some of the meetings. And as you just rightly said, you've been, really involved in planning some of the... Is there any truth to this, that there is a beef between you and Scattred Janneh?
Well, as I said, people have a right to express their views and opinions, and obviously, if people do not see you and they do not hear you, they may assume that. But those of you who have been on the ground know what you have seen.
Yeah.
I doubt that anyone who has said that has heard that from myself or from Dr. Janneh.
Okay.
So, but as I said, this is what we're fighting for, right?
Indeed.
A space for dissenting views, for dissenting
Yeah.
opinions, and for people to be able to analyze what they're seeing.
Yes.
Maybe what we are seeing is not what really is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I have a right to my view, right?
Of course. And I'm glad that you take criticism with such a blasé approach, as in it just bounces off your shoulder. But I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the Gambian opposition? Any message that you feel that that they could take on board with regards to taking in criticism also, and also, networking and expanding their connections, because today we've only seen two opposition leaders here. One in the diaspora, GMC, my party, and Halifa Saleh, which he, to be quite frank, was a surprise because he's not always engaging in these kind of events. How did you guys manage to wheel him over to Dakar, and what's your message to the opposition in general?
I think we would just reverse a little bit. The opposition in the Gambia, I believe, must be commended for the work that they have been doing so far. If you have done any kind of work in the Gambia that is even equal to opposing or thinking in a different manner, and you're still surviving and working, it is impressive. And we have to give them that credit. All of them, without exception, from 1994, some from 1996 to date, have doggedly been on the terrain, done everything possible that they can. Perhaps we disagree with their views, but why don't we just throw our hats in and become political actors at the end of the day? We can also do that rather than criticize them.
Indeed.
So I really disagree with this opposition bashing idea. I think that anyone who agrees to do anything on the ground in the Gambia, opposition, civil society, journalists, must be commended for staying on the ground and doing their work in the best possible way that they can. Now, coming to your question that Khalifa is here, what did we do? There's no magic solution. I think that everybody, every Gambian, political actor, journalist, ordinary Gambian included, knows that the solution is for Janneh to go.
Indeed.
And whatever fora that you can come, because there's no point sitting in your corner doing your work and not letting people know. You've seen the spirit here. That's what I'm talking about.
Indeed.
He's engaging with you. You're not from his party.
Yeah.
So we should encourage that. We should encourage that. You used to be. I didn't know that.
Yes, I resigned from PDIS, but that's another long story.
Yeah, but that, again, this is what the world is about.
Yes.
Right? You have a right to join a political party. You have a right to leave that party and join another political party.
And that's what we want Gambians also in the ground
to decide, I don't want to do politics anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
In the same vein, if you want to take it back to your question, that I have a right to decide, I was doing civil society activism, it's not working. Let me take a step back, let me go back to school, let me become a lawyer, we have to encourage choices. People have choices. Indeed. And we have to encourage people. I'm happy that he's here, I'm happy that Mai is here. I'm surprised that the others could not be here. But then again, the realities are different. Okay. Maybe the UDP leadership would love to be here, but if the entire executive is in prison, I think maybe their priorities are also different.
Indeed.
Maybe they're coordinating families, court visits and all of that. So their physical absence would also cause them more harm than good.
Indeed, that's what.
So I think that it's not fair to speculate as to why others are not here.
Yeah.
So their realities are different from ours. But this is not the end. This is a process. It started 2 years ago. It's still ongoing, and I think that you've heard it. I've heard it. Many calls are here for us to meet as soon as and bring on board more people.
Indeed.
So obviously all of these need resources. We can start working on finding the resources to do that. But I hope that we will even get to a point where if we say we want to meet, each one of us is ready to put their hands in their pockets and buy an air ticket.
And
who knows?
It'll be game,
because all of that would be a game changer.
Yes,
all of that would be a game changer.
Oh, yes.
When do we get to that point where we all realize whether I am paid or not, whether I pitch in or not, this is my struggle.
Yeah.
It is the struggle of the Gambia. It is not Ndey Tapha. It is not Nyom Taylor.
Exactly.
You get my point. It is not Nyom Demba.
Yeah.
It is the Gambia. This change that I want, it's not for me.
Yeah.
It is for my son. It is for my son's son. It is for my daughter. It is for her children.
Indeed.
If you start thinking that way, then the struggle is not ours.
I think you're so right. A lot of times Gambians get really hooked up to the minor little things, the rumors, and they're very attracted to that. But I just have two more questions, and we'll wrap up. If you have a message to the Gambian youth, because when I initially started going or becoming more involved in the struggle, I looked up to people like you. You were very young then, I must say, and I was like, wow, listen to this young lady. I mean, geez, she has got, if I could excuse my French, balls of steel. But I mean, of course not. But what I'm trying to say is there a message, do you have a message to young activists who are coming up, and a bit wary of the current regime and its brutality against young people?
Listen, every context is different, right? But I just want to address one issue before I come to this question, which is what you stated earlier about rumors and all of that. I think all of this we should accept that it's part of what a dictatorship does to people.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on the real issues and trying to find a way, we focus on each other and how to bring each other down because you cannot do anything about what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you just take on the very next person who's closest to you. That is a normal phenomenon. Now, coming back to the youth, I consider myself to be one of them.
Okay, yes.
Yes, I'm not that young,
we'll
but
give you, we'll give that to you.
I consider myself to be a Gambian youth, and we must bear in mind that not all of us can be activists. It is very few of us who will do the work for everyone. What we need, though, is a youthful population that is aware of its rights, that is aware of what is happening, that can refuse. maa bañ dafa normal. And this is what Gambians should learn to accept. But then again, the youth aside, we the parents, because now I'm a parent, we the parents have a role to play. The environment is changing, society is changing, the world is changing, so we need to find a different way to raise our children.
Yeah, indeed.
To engage with them at a very young age and make them understand that decisions that concern them can also be taken by them. I think a lot of what is happening has a lot to do with culture.
Indeed, yes.
It has a lot to do with culture, and all of us have a role to play in this. As mothers, we have a role to play. Fathers have a role to play. I'm glad that all of us so-called young activists are now family people as well, and we can start to change the way people think, to change the way our own children think. You know, my son is 10 years old. He does not live in Gambia, but everything that happens in the Gambia we discuss. He knows.
Yeah.
Like this influx of young people who are going abroad, we've discussed it. And he's so shocked and appalled by all of it. But these are the realities. And then when he goes to Gambia, he has cousins the same age. And what he knows about Yaya Jammeh, they don't know.
They have no idea, yeah.
Like he can tell you the story of Scattred Janneh. And he's 10 years old. but these are the realities. GRTS doesn't talk about it.
No.
But there is no family in the Gambia that does not know what is happening.
Yeah.
So why don't the kids know? Obviously they won't be taught in school. But what is wrong with a mother talking to their children about what is happening right now?
It's a moral duty.
It is. We have that responsibility. And I'm glad you chose the word moral. It is a moral responsibility. This is history that is being written and erased at the same time because we refuse to put it in our memories.
Yeah.
That is not fair. That is unfair. It is unfair that a Gambian would die because you decide that I don't want this, I'm asking for what I want, they pick you up, take you to the police station, brutalize you, you die, and then your head of state says it's normal. If it is that normal, why does he, every time there's a little bit of a problem, get his family out of the Gambia? Let him stay. It is normal for people to die. So his family should stay and die with us? If it is that normal, why does his family need to leave the Gambia when there is a little bit of tension? So you want to protect your kids, other people want to protect their parents.
Yep.
They want to protect their children too.
Indeed.
You are not a better Gambian because you're the son of the head of state. No.
Indeed.
No. So my message to Gambian youth would really be that we call on them to be more active, not to become activists, but to be more active, to see and accept things that are wrong and acknowledge them to be wrong. I don't even expect them to blow up the Gambia. That's not what I want. I want to go back home. I want to go back to a home.
Indeed.
How do I know that if there's conflict, I would still have a home? So that's not what I want. And I am certain that each and every Gambian that I have spoken to, that I know, that I have worked with, has not at any point in time wanted that for the Gambia.
Yeah.
But we want change.
Yeah.
And change can only come about from the youth. We have a youthful population.
Indeed.
So if we want change, our youth must be active.
Indeed.
If they want to stop dying in the seas, if I can take that risk to go to the Mediterranean and not be sure that I will get there, why should I be so afraid of Yaya Jammeh?
Yeah.
The seas don't know me. The seas are not human.
No,
So if I can take that risk, I might as well just, when I see somebody who's asking for things that are relevant to me, peaceful assembly, everybody should have the right to association. Everybody should have the right to assembly, whether you belong to a political party or not. So if people are asking for those things for you, and you feel that these people are troublemakers, you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
All these people talking, we can only have one president. At any point in time, we can only have one president. We can only have one government. So when people make the mistake of thinking that all these people who are talking, they want power, they must be crazy. Power. How can we all be in power at the same time?
Impossible.
It's not possible.
Impossible.
So I think we need to wake up.
Indeed.
I think we need to work hard. Right? We need to work in our country. I have a message for all these youth who are taking the back way. It's not the solution.
Indeed.
The back way is not the solution, and we need to wake up.
Indeed.
Europe can only take so many people.
Yeah.
Europeans don't have jobs. We need to develop the Gambia.
Yeah.
We owe it to ourselves, we owe it to future generations to stay and fight and work. The only way we can transform the Gambia is to work.
Indeed.
And this is the message that I have for the youth.
Thank you very much. I am really even more fired up and more inspired because, as I said, I was watching you, really from the
And
get-go.
now we're watching you.
The tables turn around, hopefully.
Yes, the tables are turning around. I think we're using someone's office who wants to come back.
Yes.
But we can
Let's have a last word.
What
do you think is the way forward, finally, in your own view? We know elections is around the corner in December. And there's this big question that if there are no electoral reforms, there should be no elections. And of course, UDP leader Hussein Odabo is currently being incarcerated. And his fellow protesters and comrades, Solo Sandeng is dead. Gambia government says it's okay, it's normal. What do you think is the way forward with regards to elections? Should there be elections without any reforms, or should Gambian opposition just get ready to go? I mean, bearing in mind that we have GDC Mama Kande. I know I'm putting a lot in the mix, but just wanted you to give us your view. What do you think is the way forward for elections 2016 in December?
I'll try to break this into 3 segments. I think you heard earlier what Dr Scattred said about what Gambian women are calling for.
Yeah.
I understand those concerns, and we can say that we stand in solidarity with Gambian women. But if we cannot get that, if we cannot have a transitional process, if we cannot get that mass movement to push for a transitional movement, because I believe in plan A's and B's and C's, right? Because it never works the way you want it to work. And if there's anything that I have learned in this process, it is the give and take. You need patience.
Indeed.
And if these demands cannot be met, and the opposition does decide, because we cannot make decisions for them, if they do decide that they are going to run,
yes,
the only solution is to have one candidate. The only solution is to have one candidate.
Yep.
There's no two ways about that. And I think that Gambians on the ground, in the diaspora, everyone would be willing to give them that support if that is the way that they choose. But I hope that Madam Tamajang's optimism can be realized.
Yes.
We get to a point where Janneh himself decides upon negotiations to leave, which I doubt. But we can still work towards that.
Yeah.
And try to get the best out of these 2 solutions. I think that's what I have.
Thank you very much, Ndey Tapha. You have been amazing in the struggle. We really want you back. 100%. We don't want half measures. We need that.
No, you cannot have half measures, but we also need to give some time to our children.
That's
and
very
frame
true.
them to be
That's
future
very
leaders
true.
as well.
We're being a bit selfish here in this struggle.
No.
Bearing in mind
but given the time constraints, yes.
Exactly.
But do tell the people who are looking for me that we have been active behind the scenes, because most of the work actually is not what people see.
Exactly. You're so
Most
right.
of the work is what is being done behind the scenes, who we're talking to, which institutions we're meeting. I think people tend to think that it's the noise that we make and go on the radios. That is just maybe 2% of the work that we are doing.
You're so right.
Yeah, right.
Thank you very much, Ndey, for talking to Gainako Radio. This is a pleasure.
My favorite online media.
Oh, thank you very
most
much.
Reliable.